Welcome, audiophiles and cinephiles alike, to the Beneflicks podcast, the show where we are reaping the Beneflicks one movie at a time. I am Liz.
I am Tyson.
This is an odd day, man. I'm like, well, how are you doing today, dude?
I'm doing well. I'm starting to realize that I watch you do the intro and I get like butterflies in my stomach. Not because you're so good at it, because I'm like waiting for my big part where I say two words.
You're waiting for your mark, man.
My mark.
Me too, dude. I get a little butterflies, a little turbulence in the belly. I think it's just I don't want to mess it up, but it's the thing that starts the day. And already I'm realizing, starting it off on a very off kilter note, I've realized that for nearly 20 episodes, so 21 weeks because we missed 1 week, we almost give or take. I am sitting in this chair that I bought for you, and
True.
I've never gone vertical in it. Like I've gone straight up. Like I've never used the
Oh,
footrest.
you got horizontal in it.
My bad. Yeah,
Yes,
I
yes,
forgot the day.
yes.
I've been vertical. I have not been horizontal, and this is a game changer, dude.
I don't like I don't like it.
Because by minute 42 every episode, because I don't know if it's something inherent with my neck, but I have the worst sort of like positioning, like in bed. Like I would rather sleep with no pillows than any pillow.
Yeah.
And then in cars, when I go in passenger, it is always like too high up. So I always have the worst neck pain, and I try not to let the squeaking of the chair get it's bad. But
And the irony too of I feel like you've objectively this year sat in that chair more than I have.
yeah,
I don't ever sit in that chair,
yeah.
truthfully.
Did you think moving in, I guess I will put the caveat that when you knew that this was the space you were going to move in with your roommates, did you ever expect to be spending as much time in the living room as you do?
Yeah, I think so. I'm someone who not to say that my room was an escape when I used to live with my parents or anything, but it
Mhm.
was the only place where it was just myself because of my younger siblings running around and
Yeah.
antics and whatnot. Plus my parents were very much like living room people.
Mhm.
They weren't if they were watching a show, they were watching in the living room, not in their room. So
Mhm.
when it came to a space that was my own, that was my room. And now I feel like now that I have an apartment, or at least a shared space that I call an apartment,
Mhm.
I have the living room at my disposal and the kitchen, and yeah, I'm not in my room very often. I've never watched a movie in my room.
Wow.
Never. I played on my computer maybe once or twice since moving in here for a total of 7, 8 months.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not in here often. Longest space of time besides sleeping when I'm in here is when we're doing the podcast. So
That's so crazy. I mean, hey, I know plenty of people who choose to have their room just be the place that they sleep, and then they can just leave the home. It is a very I wouldn't be as shocked if your room was in ruin, in shambles, but, like, you keep it well tidied.
dude, if we had done 11 a.m., I would've been fucked. My room, I woke up at 11 a.m. and it looked like there was talkie bags all over my bed.
Oh, I forgot you got the mini
The bed was not made. There was my clean clothes were on the floor, my dirty clothes were on my body.
Takis are so fucking good, dude. Takis
I gotta
are
stay away from those
so
things.
I love
What are the
Takis.
long-term effects of Red 40?
I don't know, but what are the long-term effects of being unhappy without the Red 40,
I
you
was
know?
thinking about it. There's some bullshit in, the Coke slash Pepsi Zero and diet
Mhm.
sodas. There's something surreal going on in there because
Yeah,
I was drinking Pepsi Zero yesterday and I was just like, damn, this is good. And I know for a fact that means that there's something up with
of
it because
course. Of course.
0 calories, zero sugar. They're putting Satan's testicles
100%.
in
They're
those.
they're they're brewing a mech in your belly that is going to pilot you.
What is it called? Is it micro?
Plastics?
No, 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 no. The thing that they do, where it's a little forest of different algaes and bacterias in a tank,
Oh my
a
god.
micro
No,
something
I know exactly what you're talking about. Let me look it up. Let me look it up.
that's going onto my stomach, and that's bred because
You're
of
just
the Red
basically
40
building a
tacos.
terrarium
Yeah,
in
there
your
you go,
belly.
terrarium.
Yeah.
There we go.
That's to me, because even like today, you're like, go get me a coffee, and I said, yes, sir, and I went, but I realized that you ever think about like the beast that you could be feeding if you chose to like be full glutton? Like for me, I think about like all the drinks that I could be drinking if I didn't realize how good water was.
Not to make this dietary, but you've seen that shit with the whole crumble dirty soda, right?
Brother.
It's 186 grams of sugar in one drink.
Mhm.
I don't know anything about anything, but if I really wanted to get down and dirty, I can get down and dirty. And even All love to you, and it wasn't because I had asked or because it was just an extra thing, but when you handed me that caramel ribbon crunch, I, like, felt it in my
Yeah.
veins that I could not drink that. I,
Oh,
like
I don't
because
blame you.
I took a sip and I was like, "There's no shot." Like, there's literally no shot in any world, especially after I'd already drinking the mocha you gave me. I was
Mhm.
like, "I'm gonna go into fucking heart attack, whatever."
Yeah, I trust me, it wasn't like, "Oh, let me make a caramel ribbon crunch for Tyson," because that'd be the last thing. That's like pressing a finger in an open flesh wound because, like, everyone and their mother orders it, but it was just because we had extra, and I was like, "Why not make something cute?" And I do think aesthetically it is one of the better looking drinks that we sell, but I don't think I've had that point where I have restricted myself enough from sweets. Maybe you know what? I would actually say bread might be the only thing because, like, my parents, they're like we eat bulk and breakfast type style bread where like for dinner they go to because we have that Walmart by our house and they get like this bag of like mini loaves
Yeah,
and that's what they serve.
yeah.
Like no longer do they slice it, they literally
No,
serve
it's
it.
with, like, the oil and vinegar and shit.
Motherfucker,
Dude,
it's
you're talking to
bad.
someone whose roommate is, like she made bagels last night, and then she, like, makes sourdough every other day. Like, bread is a common staple in this household.
I think though, as much as I do attack like, oh, my issues dietarily, I do think that if I just was more active, it would offload. Not to say that that would be the end, the big cure to it, but I do think it would mediate so much or mitigate so much of the issues in terms of like, I just hate the chuddish feeling that I have, you know?
Yeah, for surely. And one thing that's, like not to say that you're experiencing, but as someone who probably is actively, like, in a very loving and caring relationship, there is no, like, social pressure to make yourself be seen a certain way in terms of, like, dietarily or healthy wise,
Hmm.
'cause I get the impression from your relationship that you both are very, like, as long as, like, we're both healthy, like, we're happy.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that's a really thing that kinda, like, was, like not I don't wanna say a downfall in my previous relationship, but one thing that, like, I did not hold myself accountable enough for is, like, when you have the assurity and
Hmm.
the confidence that no matter what, the person on the other side of you will love you no matter what you look like,
Very
you
good
can
point.
very easily let yourself go.
Yeah, I the one thing that I do look on is though that like there is like this innate like rabid brain in my body that like I need to be doing something,
Yeah,
you know? And like content creation and doing stuff helps me so much, but there is a part of me like that's why I opt a lot of times to walking to work, but like that is one thing that I do hope is when I do move out and I will say a gym at the apartment is like a must, like that
yeah,
is a necessity. I do think that'll be something I'll be looking towards and I also can't excuse it because of my leg, you know?
sure.
And that is something that I feel a lot when if I have a week where I don't have some sort of mobility going on, I don't walk Odie, my dog, shout out, or I go walk to work or I go to the gym, I feel it. Like
Yeah.
it hits hard. So,
It's I'm the same way when it comes to like that, but what I've recently realized is, fitness is obviously very important, and I very much need to get back on it, but for me, the biggest thing recently has been sunlight and sunshine.
interesting.
Just because, like, obviously I work full-time hours, a lot of times I'm inside for my
Mhm.
shifts, I'm not
Mhm.
outside very often, and then, let's say, for example, I work a mid, I get off and it's no longer sunlight, and if I wake up at, like, 10 or 11, I'm
Yeah.
not experiencing much of that sunlight. It's been really important that I get my vitamin D as much as I can. I think that's, like, a general and a pretty specific level of happiness and how to pursue happiness.
Mhm.
If you don't have vitamin D in your body, you're gonna feel like shit, and it's not gonna let you protrude the right endorphins and whatnot, so
Maybe one day I'll come around to it. As white as I look, you know, I know we don't have the visual. I've only ever from upbringing to adulthood have horrendous experiences with being out in sun. I think sadly you have been like the prophesizer and then but having a partner who loves the beach has like pushed me over to being like there is merit to be had when you actually know how to take care of your fucking skin,
Yeah.
you know? Like sensory frustrations about the way that sunscreen feels on my skin be gone. Like it is so much more worth it than having a god awful sunburn that you have to cope with for a week. And like skin cancer is like a real fucking
I know
thing.
it's a very real thing, and it's funny too because I recently learned that, like, once your first barrier skin breaks, like, that's damaged, like, for, like, multiple weeks. Like, if you get sunburned once, like, that area is gonna be sunburned, like, you're not gonna be able to tan or, like, do anything efficient there
Mm,
for a long time.
mm.
And was, I guess, the kind of cruel twist to irony in your sense is, like, there's a reality where you're a Cuban living in Florida. You're not
Yeah.
a Cuban living in
Yeah.
California. You're a Cuban living in
Yeah.
fucking Florida, and
Yeah.
you're experiencing maybe your worst nightmare: humidity and sunshine and
Mhm.
alligators.
And well, trust me, we're not this isn't like a fitness health nut podcast, but I will say one of the last things I will say, I'm maybe the only person in my entire life that I engage with that actually likes to sweat. Like, I really like they're the not when I'm not the
Oh,
good,
yeah.
and I think to me, I have the privilege that I rarely sweat unless I'm actively doing something pretty affirmatively or it's really hot.
Yeah.
Um, so, like, I feel for the people who sweat like crazy when they're
Yeah.
barely doing anything, but when I sweat, I'm like, "Oh, this is good." Like, I'm doing something really good.
It varies for me because when you start sweating through, like, your pores on your arms, there's something, like, cathartic about
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
But you're a sauna monster. When we used to go to the gym, you were
Mm.
it was not a successful gym mission if we didn't hit the sauna for at least 10, 15 minutes, and then
Mhm,
on your
mhm.
own time, I don't even wanna see what beast you become.
Dude, because when I had my AirPods, they were at least smart enough to know that they didn't wanna spill the, like, made in China goop in your ears, so they
Yeah,
would give you, like, a heat warning.
yeah.
But I've just been cycling through, like, 3-month lifespan Dollar Tree headphones,
Oh,
and those things they will last you in that sauna until you're done, and, like, they don't overheat, so I'll be blaring music in my ears, and I know I'm gonna be turning into some, like, ooze mutant mayhem sort of fucker. It's great. Anyway, though,
anyways.
we were talking about something really fun today. I will admit this is one of the sort of episodes that were based off of prompt versus like a specific movie, not
Yeah,
a filmmaker retrospective, not in terms of man, I love this movie. Let's watch this movie and talk about both. It was purely off of the huge fucking umbrella of video game movies. And
yeah.
I want to talk about that in a second because I think it is opening ourselves to the conversation of two very different, distinct art forms that one we don't talk about nearly enough because I think we just don't necessarily orient ourselves with as many games as we
Mm,
once did growing up.
yes.
But I think we both are woven of a similar cloth that appreciates a very specific type from each of those that we're going to
Mm,
talk about. Before that, though, man, is there any art on your mind? I know you've been. We talked about last episode the storm, as if in Mad Max Fury Road. Your phone's right there. You're riding into Valhalla with spray paint on your mouth. You have been immersed into Buddy. Woody. What the fuck? Oh heck no!
Oh, hell
You.
no.
I asked before we started this pod if there was a photo of you because we're talking about like
Me shaving my mustache.
yeah, and that I mean, quite literally, I don't know what we would do because then our channel banner would be kind of
Shit, that'd be
fraudulent.
regular Michael Cera.
Exactly.
Art on my mind.
Well, hold
Yeah.
on, just real
Oh,
quick. He showed me a photo of you clean shaven, and I was scared.
yeah,
So
yeah,
anyway,
it's
anyway,
fucked up.
or on your mind, Buster.
Yeah, so we're not talking about it today, but we watched Toy Story 3. Anything about the Toy Story movies, anything about Pixar, about animation, about all
Yeah.
that fun stuff. Some great stuff there. The Toy Story movies are very interesting to me because I'm one of the few people that I know that has ever had this opinion that like the first Toy Story is not very good, and I still kind of stand by that. It's not
Crazy.
like an animation issue, like I'm not sitting here being like it looks bad, but like I truthfully do think that like the writing of its characters is so archetypal and so just convenient for the sake of convenience while also being grating to a point. Like I think that Woody's a grating main character. I think that Buzz is a grating main character in the first one, and it's a issue that's resolved so well in the second one, which is why I appreciate the second one so much because it feels like it's taking the same formula that we had from the first one, expanding upon it, improving upon it,
Mhm.
actually making some real emotional resonance with it. It has, some great sequences. Everyone ties to the ASMRification of the one Woody
Yeah,
painting scene,
yeah, yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
Um, Great ass movie. Watch the third one. I had like this opinion that the third one wasn't very good. And watch it again, I'm kind of a moron. Third one's very good. There's a lot of those. It's very messy, but like in a way where like it's kind of charming and also like when it wants to hit, like when it wants to hit an emotional beat, it does it very well. Um, the third one's very good, and I think I'm really glad we watched that one. I don't know why we had just watched one of the movies we're gonna be talking about in this episode, and I was like, "Let's watch Toy Story 3," and
You
then
did not see. Dude, well, you're okay.
well,
Hold on.
I okay, we eventually got there, but
What I thought it was. Your roommate who said,
No, no, no. I said let's watch Toy Story 3, and my roommate immediately latched onto it because she was over our
um,
bullshit. She did
mhm,
not want to watch fucking Bloodshot or the fuck else I was
Lucy,
Lucy. Like she was over it. And I
mhm,
said Toy Story 3 for no reason in particular, just besides I was like, yeah, this kind of sounds like a fun vibe. And
and
she
it
was like,
was.
yes, yes.
Cookies were made.
Yes. I've tried to watch Spider-Man twice this week. I was under the influence the first time. The second time I was just trying to put it on the background. Oh my God. It's like not even comparable. And what I will say is I watched the trailer to the new Brand New Day, and I actually am pretty excited for it. I'm just more so curious as to how they're gonna juggle scale.
Mhm,
The Spider-Man movies are notorious for when there's kind of more scale on hand, the
mhm,
movies tend to diminish in quality.
mhm,
Which is so funny because for me and you, I would say it's usually the exact opposite. I feel like when they tend to stick a bit more simple,
mhm,
it hurts it for us.
mhm.
In No Way Home is one where it's like that one is not small in scale, but it just does not hit as hard as we both wanted
No.
to. Even though you were there wearing your fucking No Way Home shirt as we actively speak.
Drippy, drippy ass shit though, I can't deny.
um, I'm excited for the new one in moderation, but
Yeah.
watching the first one, dude, like it just isn't comparable. Like it's even simple things where it's like he's hallucinating and like he's seeing images of skulls and shit. It's so cool. Like it's just so sick. I only got like 45 minutes into it, but that's a huge comfort film for me.
Yeah.
And we'll bring it up later, but it made me think about like the Spider-Man video games, the Insomnia games. I've never played either of them.
Whoa, I didn't
Because
know that.
they're PlayStation exclusives, and I didn't have a PS5,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
or at least one that I used. So,
Yeah.
anyways, but yeah, Spider-Man's been on the mind. The whole house is going crazy for it. My roommate's a huge Spider-Man head, so she's obviously right there. I
Mhm.
guess like she saw a post where it was like the first film made exclusively, or not exclusively, but specifically for Screen X, which I don't know if that's true or
It
not.
is very true,
But
actually.
that's true.
You can see on the camera that they use, they have this like the only way that I can kind of describe the visual look of this little doohickey that's attached to the camera is have you ever seen those like GoPros that they give to like dogs to
Yeah,
eat?
yeah.
It's exact. Oh, go on. It's like that sort of spherical looking apparatus.
Oh wait,
Um,
I'm sorry. The ones that like you would get during like a colonoscopy, or like one that they mount on the dog?
No, like a colonoscopy,
Oh,
because
like
it's small. It's a
oh,
small little
that's so
thing,
sick.
and I think it's truly off the fact that they were like, "We're not even gonna bother trying to fight with Nolan
Yeah,
on
we're not getting
IMAX."
IMAX. It's game over.
I am so beyond curious. Actually, I'm gonna pin that curiosity for when the art goes to me
Yeah.
because I'm gonna loop it to what I've been thinking about. But what has been some music or any other just art in general?
Damn, trying to rush me and shit.
Yeah, fuck, dude, come on.
Um, but yeah, so I've been thinking about that a little bit. I tried watching this short form content called Luis is Missing, and I don't know if my texts were probably able to communicate. I was high on my mind. It was actually
Yeah,
before I started watching Spider-Man, and I need Spider-Man to come for me. It was scaring me bad. Like it was like to a point where like
really.
yeah, it gets right to that part. I guess like I was watching like all tapes combined, so I don't know which tape it was.
That's fine.
But it's like right at the beginning where like she starts to like hyper zoom into like the window and she's like, he's right there.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, I'm so good. Like I'm getting out of here. And I was like genuinely asking, like, I'm like, is this like a creepy vibe or is this gonna scare me? Because In the Dark scared the shit out of me. And
Mhm.
Luis is Missing is obviously so under the radar that I didn't know how intense this thing was gonna get.
Mhm.
And so you were like, yeah, go for it. And I like not even joking. I was like, they're not being like transparent with me. Like they're not sitting their ass down and actually listening to what I'm saying. So I got like annoyed by you. I was like, no, like you're annoying the fuck out of me. Like you don't because as soon as you said yes, go for it. That's when I started getting scared and I was like, okay, like I'm annoyed. Like I'm actually annoyed. Like they like I basically asked for a safe word and they spat in my face.
What did you okay, motherfucker, hold on one second. You said, "Dude," and you sent me that you or no, I said, you sent me that voice message,
Yes.
and I'm at BJ's,
Yes, eating a Pazuki with your partner.
and I said, "Are you enjoying it or bored? It just started getting scary, and I'm scared. Keep steadfast, my liege."
That's what my point. I literally said I'm getting scared, and you said stay steadfast. And then I got even more scared, and so I had to leave it. I had to go watch my comfort movie.
So, okay. Okay,
Fucking
because
asshole. And then you got mad at me because I was like I had to turn it off.
I did not. That was not me being mad. I sent you a photo of that brewski. By the way, we had that chocolate nitro one that I brought up to
Yeah.
you. Fantastic, fucking
Can I can
fantastic.
I can I guess a flavor profile?
Yeah,
Was
of
it was
course.
it nutty?
Kinda,
Oh,
kinda, a little chocolatey though, more chocolatey, but yeah, okay. I did not know you were that geeked, and I only read the transcript of the voice message. So because
oh,
it was like it was like I don't know some graduation night or some bullshit going
it's
on,
always some fucking graduation
and
night these
because like we're in
days.
the middle of like we were sat at the booth right before the two stairs that they're like watch your step.
Yeah.
So like we heard people walking in, we heard people in there. So I only read the transcript, and so in my head I was like oh, they're about to get geeked. Like they're getting geeked off of the Eddie. Like they're having a good time. But now knowing you took sleep,
No,
because
that was gnarly.
when you take sleep, I used to take sleep because okay, don't ever ever do this, guys. And if you have emails in at beneflickspod@gmail.com, my foray into taking substances partially started from me buying sleeping medication from Dollar Tree.
Oh
And
yeah.
that like it would knock me out for like 15, 16 hours and I kept taking more and then
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I need to stop this because it's gonna create a counterfeit like worm in my body.
But the whole joke is like Benadryl, like you see the Hat Man.
Oh,
That's like the same vibe that's going on
Victor's
here.
eyes start speaking to you.
Legitimately.
And then so then I started doing like edibles that I would get from my friends and they would be sleep. But the issue with that is like it not only is because I enjoyed the high, the safe comfort of a high,
Sure.
but then you have to like it is such a small margin, then you start to feel so sleepy and then I'm getting frustrated because then I'm like, no, I want my money's worth, but then I'm out. And then I start
Yeah.
fighting with my flesh
Yeah.
and it's never a good story. If
Yes.
I knew you bought those, because I've seen those, the Good Tide is my baby. Shout out, get sponsor us if you haven't. Um, those are I avoid the most
Yeah.
because they're very good at creating a nice little tranquil high. I mean, but you're off the 20 mg watching Toy Story 3.
That's true.
We're having a blast. But if I knew that, I would have approached it very differently.
Yeah, no, it was gnarly. I was like experiencing ego death while watching this thing that no one's seen. Anyways, so that was on my mind too. For music, it's been kind of not. I don't want to say even Stevens, like not nothing too crazy. Been
Mhm.
listening to a lot to the weekend, a lot of the weekend.
You'll never not blow my mind, dude.
He has a mixtape or EP from 2011.
Holy shit.
It's part of his the trilogy, but specifically Echoes of Silence. He does like it's his most mix of R&B and pop until he gets to more pop stardom.
Hmm.
So he's like doing covers of like legitimately like Michael Jackson songs with like really cool experimental instrumentation, but then
Hmm.
like he has these very interesting poppy hooks while still having his very like cold and cool demeanor that he carries throughout his early career.
Hmm.
Phenomenal EP. Like I've been listening to it on repeat. That Olivia Rodrigo album has really been growing on me. I'm not to a point of like complete like I love it, I love it, I love it, but
Hmm.
for the most part, she is just a very great songwriter, and she's very good at what she does. And then last thing I'll give a shout out to. Oh no, I'm sorry. A couple more things. I saw By Storm in concert. Grapefruit. Yeah,
Hmm.
them. I saw them in concert. I've been listening to them since 2018. I think I explained that to you.
Yeah.
Super cool. I think they give so much to their art. If and our audience has not listened to By Storm, it's a project that the members of Injury Reserve created after the passing of one of their members. Rest in peace, Steppa J. Groggs. They are making some of the most experimental and enlightening hip hop and different flavors of sounds. It's a record where it's like they're playing on so many different soundscapes and like the narrative through lens they're tying into it's really interesting. I've never heard art the way it reflects grief and delves into grief while also trying to grow past it.
Hmm.
I know that we joke because I played that grapefruit song for you and you're like what the fuck, but one day I want to sit with you and I really want to listen to that album with you, even if it's high or not high,
Mm.
but it's a really phenomenal listen.
Nice.
But yeah, I've listened to that, and then I saw their opener, cool stuff. Two like Mexican dudes from the IE. They're like "Shout Pomona," and they're like 19, and they're playing like maybe like the worst music I've ever heard in my entire life. That was the opener. Anyways, and then nothing for well, there's been video games on my mind, but I haven't been playing any, and
Okay.
we'll get into that later.
Word. Well, I want to say quickly. I want to shout out everyone that's been having us be, I guess, the pseudo art on their mind. I looked at the statistics. We have well over 100 hours of people that have listened to our podcast.
And like half of them is like me and you.
And no, literally on
We'll say
autoplay.
50. The 50 hours of people that are listening.
Thank you,
Thanks.
guys. Thank you.
No, in all seriousness, before you actually get into your spiel, I do actually want to say thank you. With this, it's kind of funny because like this has kind of just become secondhand. It's like no longer like we need to record. It's like, oh, like we're going to
Yeah.
record.
Yeah.
Um, you know, and truth be told, like we've had some experiences with people who reached out to us and whatnot, and very much expressed like thank you for recording and whatnot, and
Hmm.
that will always mean so much, especially as someone who doesn't have a platform like you do. Um, the fact that someone's listening to my voice and not immediately like banging their head against the wall is truly like gratifying for me, truthfully.
Yeah. Yeah.
And although this is not like the end all be all goal isn't to be like a podcast host, it is cool that like we're able to express our lives and our feelings on art, and it at least grab people to a point where they're at least tapping in for a little bit.
Yeah.
So it means the world. The very small community that we've garnered, and maybe the small community that we'll garner a bit more of. Community or no community, like I'm appreciative of whoever listens to us, truly.
Quite literally.
Because we be on our shit sometimes.
True, true. And now we get to be on our shit as a family. So
Mwah.
thank you guys. As for me, I will say that my brain has been completely intoxicated by the two juxtaposing evil, one being Disney and the other being trans cinema. Because I have been having to watch like a lot of we watched Toy Story 3 and that kind of made me realize I think I want to revamp my ranking of everything because I think my opinions have changed so much about Pixar movies.
Yeah, they suck.
And so I mostly yeah, and I've been like dabbling flavorfully throughout that. Saw Toy Story 5, thought it was
Oh,
yeah,
I didn't know that.
I saw it right I had it cuz I guess big shocker. I saw Supergirl and I thought it was terrible. I thought it was really bad. I have not tried so desperately to find some sort of saving grace out of a movie that has come out on the big screen in recent memory the way that I did with Supergirl. That movie, like, it actually like gutted me. Like I was like, what is this? And I think
Oh,
it was like, and I think the end. You've heard it. There's a needle drop.
I've heard about it. I don't know what it is.
And it's funny because I saw it on like a 480 cam rip, and I was like, it's not very good, but it makes sense. You have to watch the movie to like understand the atrocity that it is. And it was in that moment that I was like, the writing was on the wall. This is the guy who made dumb money. Like why is he doing this? And it's sad because I think none of the department outside of like Millie Alcock as Supergirl, Kara Jor-El is really great enough for me to be like, man, everyone but this one is the clear recession indicator. Like nothing about this movie, except for maybe two shots on Krypton that actually I was like, oh, that's really great shit. I was ever down for.
I heard Lobo. I heard
Was not good.
you don't think so?
No, I think it comes down to there are certain roles that I feel are so easy to A, pull off, but B, feel so tailored to the performer at
It
hand.
is a Jason Momoa role. He's been fan cast as that like literally forever.
But I think to me, and I have not read Man of or Woman of Tomorrow,
Yeah.
so I cannot comment on the merit of his influence in that graphic no that comic, but he is so tacked on in that movie to a point where I said it in my review on Letterboxd, it felt misogynistic. Like it felt like the movie and the people behind it didn't have enough faith that the story that should work about what like Supergirl and the little girl that she's helping with are so tethered to could carry the film to the finish that they needed a comic relief male figure in the movie. And like he's fine, but like when I thought more about the film, I was like, no wait, this is bad. This is
Yeah.
just really fucking bad.
What's really interesting too is like I guess I haven't seen it, so I can't like disagree or agree with you. But I
Hmm.
will say from like a business standpoint, like Jason Momoa as Lobo is probably getting more people into
Yeah.
seats. So like
Yeah.
it probably like I don't want to sit here and be like, oh, like James Gunn and like the execs over at DCE were like misogynistic. They probably are like, okay, like
Sure.
truly, how many people are going to sit their ass
Yeah.
down and watch a Supergirl
They
movie?
test focused it for sure.
Granted, however, I mean, the fact that James Gunn trusted Craig Gillespie to make the second film in his universe is
It's
hilarious.
ridiculous, and it makes me really sad because it's like I think when we finish Superman, a movie that I revel in and I love so much, and I love what it is doing visually, and everything that Supergirl is the antithesis of with it. I was actually so excited at the concept of like, actually, no, that is really bold to make the second film in this revamped DC universe be a Supergirl film. But I don't know why I never really clicked for me that it's directed by Craig Gillespie, and I should have known that from the jump because he's been announced for a couple of years now. It, ugh,
And what's like the so we're getting Clayface later this year,
mhm,
directed by what's his fucking name? Clayface director.
mhm.
Oh, James Watts? No,
James Watkins.
Watkins.
Yeah.
Jury's out if it's gonna be good or not. My prediction, it's gonna be some cool stuff, but it's gonna be like very bleh.
We'll see. I would have been so much happier with it being in its original state with Mike Flanagan directing and
Or even
writing.
like a radar.
I think it is rated R though,
Is
dude.
it?
I'm almost certain it is rated R.
Oh, that's cool, I
Yeah,
guess. Anyways,
yeah.
as we have a Clayface movie, and
Mhm.
then we have a second Superman movie, right?
With the
Because
Lantern show with
oh
the guy
sure,
from Rebel
and
Ridge,
I will watch that. Aaron Pierre and or fuck, what's that
Kyle
guy's name?
Chandler,
Kyle Chandler. Yeah,
Argo.
that's a cool duo.
I'm intrigued. I think it looks
It
very.
looks flat.
It does like in saddening ways, and I really don't understand it either. And I'm not even saying like, oh, it all falls on the shoulders of James Gunn, but like, like if even when he was doing Suicide Squad, even Guardians, I will say Guardians 3 started to dip quite considerably in color palette for me. Still think that's a brilliant movie,
Yeah, I
but
agree.
visually it doesn't look nearly as interesting. Um, why everything outside of him looks the way it does, it is like really shocking. But then I also remember that like there was a part where he just had joined DC and he called like The Flash one of the greatest movies ever made. Like,
Yeah, and he's right.
it, we'll
Anyways,
talk more about that
Toy
in a
Story
second.
5.
Toy Story 5. I really, really enjoyed it. It's easily the messiest and worst out of the five for me.
Yeah,
No,
I've heard.
I wouldn't say easily actually, because I do think there is a mess that I think is felt similar to three. But it's the first time that I've actually watched a Pixar movie and I felt the sentiment like this is a studio geared for to make children's movies, but it is telling it through like the Cocomelon brain. Meaning that like there was moments that I started reflecting back on like the third, the fourth, the first and the second, where like they would just let conversations exist and then they would go to the next scene. But it felt like the need and it felt like even like a few seconds cut where like there would be moments that would just cut so quickly to jump to the next thing. And it's a story that involves like three storylines, one of which did not need to exist at all. I'll
Yeah.
say it involves a myriad of buzzes. But that
Yeah.
was so clearly there to pad out runtime to sell toys, and the way that it like so hastily comes into the final third climax wasn't really digging at all.
I will say, as an editor, I'm so curious for like these children films, like
Oh
on
yeah,
especially like a large scale production. Because I said that for Sheep Detectives too, where like it felt like it was edited for like Cocomelon
yeah,
brain
yeah,
babies and whatnot. And I am so curious as to like are the editors of these projects like are they conscious of that and like they're editing it a very specific way, or is that like a
sure.
like a production decision or like a studio decision being like, hey, attention spans are shorter, we have to cut this down.
Hmm.
I do think it is pretty fascinating because it is does seem like a very common thing, especially they're going to get more and more of scenes are going to just exist to be shorter
Yeah,
and there's going to be less dialogue in certain things and I am curious, especially because like you tend to forget that like we are slowly getting aged out of like the like before we were the target group for these
yeah,
children films
yeah,
like films like Ratatouille and Wall-E like that was made for us like
sure.
and now we're getting to an age where it's pushing us out and then like my younger siblings are becoming the target demographic but my younger siblings are like more excited for like the backrooms and the amazing digital circus which
Is
by
that
the
so
way is
crazy?
apparently fire.
Uh, it's odd because like fans and fans like
I know
fandoms
fans.
are scary, but from what I've heard, I would be curious one day when I get senile and watch Amazing Digital Circus because some people like consider it to be like a huge because I watched the first episode. I that was not a recent discovery. That was done through X
Long ago,
relation
yeah.
long ago. It makes the crux of what the story is about very much known very quickly,
Yeah.
and from the way that I've heard the finale being described, is it sort of then therefore says, actually, here you go. And then it's 70 minutes more. So I'm like, hmm.
Yeah.
Um,
I've heard mixed things. I've heard fans be like, "This is, like, the worst ending." I've heard, like,
yeah.
perfect ending.
Yeah.
Our
So,
girl Esther gives it a 4.5, even though they've never seen anything
and the
ever.
creator is trans and named Gooseworks. So,
That's ridiculous.
Anyway,
Anyways.
I dug it. I think they're funny enough. I think, did you know Conan O'Brien's in Toy Story 5?
Yeah, I heard about that.
Fantastic. Like
Oh, really?
it's so odd to me because like I was introduced to him as a side character in Death Stranding. Then I know he was in If I Had Legs I'd Kick You. He is so good in this movie. Like
Really?
as it reminds me of like how Forky could have just been terrible, and I know you have your own feelings about Forky. I rewatched four. Oh, sorry. Maybe I was very presumptuous. I thought you thought he was like an annoying fuck that you
No,
wanted to
I think
kill.
he's funny.
He is
You
real.
rewatched 4?
I did. I did. I just haven't put my review out. I'll stand on it. Easily the best one.
Dude,
Easy.
like, you don't you're just
And what's
that's
funny
not
is I
what
think five reaffirmed it for me in a very big way.
Did you
In
watch 2?
no,
Well, then fuck off.
I,
Watch 2 and be like, "Okay, sorry, let me."
okay, we were standing and you said that I think, or that you think that I would think Toy Story 4 would not be what I remember it to be. And I at least can say on the island of 4, it is even better than I remember. So uh,
Brother.
I think it's terrific. I would love for one day us to rewatch it because I do think there is a lot that it's doing.
Sure, and the universe where me and you, 2 grown adults, sit and watch Toy Story 4 is like
Technically, we're four grown adults watching Toy Story 3.
and it was gas.
It was
Anyways,
gas. Anyway, enjoyed it. Best part about it is Jesse's storyline. I actually wish so much of it. I wish Woody wasn't even in the movie. I had a blast though. Great time. Give it like a B. Um,
you give it a what?
a B.
You've never done that before? A letter grade?
Well,
What
it's
the
because
fuck?
I give it like a B or B plus on my review that I made
Oh,
of
your
it.
tier list?
Yeah.
Okay.
So anyway, outside of that, I'm so juiced, dude. I'm so juiced. The fact that like the next time I see you, I'm gonna sit your ass, strap you down, and we're watching the Matrix films. Like
Oh, shit, that's true.
that feels like such a long time coming. Like we've talked about it. We've watched literally so many other Wachowski joints. You watched Bound by yourself. We watched Cloud Atlas and Speed Racer together
Our
twice.
our next episode
Our next
will
episode,
be the Matrix
and
movies.
we will be talking a lot about it. That'll be an episode where I could undo my belt and just let my beer belly hang out.
Yeah, no, if you're this is actually one of the few times where if you're an audience member, like if you want to be a part of, I guess, the conversation, or at least know what the fuck we're talking about, watch the Matrix movies if you're listening to
Exactly,
this.
exactly.
You have until next Friday.
Because I will say, like you're sounding like John Kramer right now, but you yourself are in a jigsaw puzzle because I'm pretty certain through the conversations we've had and what you've indicated, you have seen all of them.
Yes, it's been second and third has been forever, like
Yeah,
legitimately forever. The
and,
first one 6 years ago,
yeah.
roughly, maybe a little less than that, and then the fourth one, maybe same thing 6 years ago.
But I think the beauty of it is with how you are and what I appreciate so deeply, but amongst a myriad of things, is there are times where like you'll rewatch a movie and you're like fire, or you'll rewatch it and at least I know, good or bad, you will have a far more informed vocabulary and an understanding of what you think versus
Yeah.
like a sentence or two.
That's very true, and I think that what's interesting about me is, like, I'm not ashamed to admit, like, okay, like, I was, like, a dumbass, like, I've had that experience with Fury Road where I watched it was, like I was,
True.
like, a prepubescent teen, mid,
Yeah.
watched it again,
Oh
greatest
my
movie of all
god.
time.
Oh my god.
Even smaller extents where it's, like, Barbarian, I watched for the first time, I was like, "This is kind of annoying and not very good," and then I watched it, I was like, "No, this is actually really good."
Yeah.
Um, at the very least, I think this will be the deciding factor of the Wachowskis' work for me as filmmakers,
Interesting.
because I love Speed Racer, as you know.
Hmm.
Very much enjoy Bound. Will probably enjoy it more on a rewatch.
Yeah.
I would be shocked if I give a lot more to Cloud Atlas than I already do.
Hmm.
Not to say that I think it'll be worse for me, but like I really like that wasn't that long ago, and I was in a pretty clear state of mind. Just did not fully work for me.
Hmm.
Maybe I was me being belly down on your bed didn't
Yeah.
really help it. But Jupiter Ascending is not good. Like there's no
No.
revisionism there. That's fine.
I think it's solid, but I don't disagree with
What
you.
else am I missing?
Well, outside of that, I mean, like
The
you'll
Matrix
never
movies.
watch like Sense8. I would probably have to
I'll watch it
die.
one day.
I'll be dead, and like you'll do it
Yeah,
in
as like a
memoriam.
testimony.
Other than that, though, no, nothing.
Is that really it?
Yeah, I mean, the Matrix are four movies, though. So it's like we're talking about four movies, and then four movies that you have seen but don't fully remember, and then an entire TV show. Um,
Yeah,
it's gonna be crazy. It's
I'm
gonna
excited.
I and I think it is the pairing of us getting the opportunity to watch the last two as one thing that makes me unbelievably excited. And
In a theater. That's
in a
cool.
theater, 1,000%.
That's cool.
Other than that though, I just have been kind of like laying a little low, just doing these fuck ass work shifts. Doing
Yeah.
like the Pixar plunge. Re-listened to Preacher's Daughter by Ethel Cain.
Yeah.
Um,
Cool.
I love it. To me it was That was an album I listened to a few years ago, and I remember very keen, like very sharply where I was and what I was doing as I listened to it. But it was a prompted question Kimmy had asked me, my partner, is there an album or a song that I think makes me think of them? And for some reason, Preacher's Daughter came into my head, and that's a crazy thing to think about because it's a very angry album. It's a
Yeah.
very upset and frustrated album. And Telomia, which is I think their biggest track on that album,
Mm-mm.
is no?
No, it's probably American. What's the opening? American Daughter.
Okay,
That's
okay.
probably the biggest one, and then House in Nebraska is also probably up
Mm.
there.
But like Telomia, I think is unbelievable. But like Telomia, the term is literally one of the last layers of hell designated for people who betray. So it's like that, like what?
Just that being the thought for your partner is really funny.
And Kimmy, like, which is so funny because like if I had made that comment and my partner like hadn't listened to it, they'd be like, oh, I'll give it a listen. They're like, mind you, I did an essay about this album in college. What do you mean by that?
Mm.
And I was like, that's actually a great question. What do I mean by that? Re-listen to it. And I think what I love about Ethel Kane so much, outside of this soundscape and how they like, you have to understand, and I've said this before, not just to you but to the audience, that like lyrics are very hard for me. They're just like sound, like I just cannot remember it. But it gives me an opportunity to listen to the lyrics and read them like they are text. When it came to that album, I think the anger and the frustration resonated with me on the position that I'm in my life, but it also like gave me a sense of clarity to know that like artists experience a similar anger and feeling and are positionally in a lifestyle that I would like to be in. And I think it reminded me of my partner so much because it made me feel a bit less alone. And I think Preacher's Daughter is just a like cover to cover wonderful album. That's about the only other music I've been listening to though. I think Supergirl just got me really fucking sad. Toy Story 5 made me a little happier, but other than that, just been in the Pixar funk and mainly just been thinking a lot about these movies that we're going to be talking
Oh,
about today.
brother.
I think we can get into it now. Dude, it's always at some fucking 42-minute bullshit, bro. It's always some bullshit. We are going to talk about an episode that I've been wanting to do for a while. For I'm not going to say like when we first announced the pod, I was like, oh, I want to do this. It was something that came a little later, but it's a core subgenre of movie that you and I have experienced by byproduct of upbringing through the
Yeah.
Sci-Fi FX channel. We wanted to talk about video game movies.
Very or no video game movies that feel like video
Yeah, but I
games.
guess, I guess I'm just going to say video game movies, but I guess the specification, we're not talking about like Detective Pikachu or none of that
No,
bullshit.
yeah, no, I think it's a pretty important distinction to make because I think that like
Fair.
the first jump is like, okay, why are you guys not talking about like the Uncharted movie, Silent Hill, stuff like that?
Yeah, yeah,
Those are video game movies. We are
yeah,
talking specifically about movies that were made that
yeah.
feel
Feel
like video
sure,
games.
sure.
And what's even funnier, and I would add on to that important part of context is I doubt these were the two movies that we were kind of initially thinking when we were
No,
thinking about this at all,
no.
and it very much took shape based upon a weirdly kismic
Mhm.
experience that we had literally during the recording of last episode, which you can catch, which is us both just bringing up Gemini Man on our
Yeah,
own accord. You brought
yeah,
it up, and I was like, "That's so weird." I was literally thinking
yeah,
about that today,
yeah.
and that sole experience kind of catapulted us watching that together
Mhm.
and then I saw like a very interesting reaction to it, and then that's kind of and then it was so funny because the initial idea was we weren't even gonna talk about Gemini Man.
No.
It was literally like, okay, like we watched this, it exists. We probably don't have enough to say on it. Let's
Yeah,
move past it into a different thing.
yeah.
And then I was kind of like, no, like we should do something like I like we should pair it with something. And then it was inevitably
Mhm,
your idea of let's bring in Sucker Punch into the fold because it's been so long since we've both seen it
mhm.
and now we have arrived at whatever
Gemini
this
Man and
is.
Sucker Punch. Mind you, there because when we this goes back like a couple weeks when the lineup at the theater that we're gonna go see the Matrix Revolutions and Resurrections dropped. I knew that's when like that was an episode we had to do, finitely
Yes.
so. And luckily our screening happens on a weekday, have a day to talk or have a day to like or like a night to think about it, then we can record the next day,
Yeah.
something like that. And then before that, we had Obsession, we had Backrooms, we had like a few stuff, we had Disclosure Day,
Yes.
but I always knew there was going to be one in the middle. So I was like, okay, perfect. What could we do? Left it a little open. Like you said, we had our little engagement, we had our time together, and we were just like, what the fuck do we do? And I was brainstorming, brought Gemini Man, and I was like, you know what? Let's do it. Let's just watch it. But then after when we had our feelings, and we'll talk about that in a second, I was thinking, okay, what do we do? In that regard, I was like, why don't I just watch Brokeback Mountain? I wasn't even thinking because that was Ang Lee. I had watched it and I was like, well, fuck. Now I want to talk about Ang Lee. But I think this was a really beautiful first time where I realized we do not need to hold ourselves to just because we talked about one movie directly doesn't mean that we can't bring it up. We've done it basically every episode. We've
Yeah.
talked about repeating things, reoccurring things. But in terms of like an episode, I was like, man, let's wait to talk about Gemini Man. Let's pick some other video game adjacent like movies.
Yeah.
And real quick, I'm just gonna go off the gamut, the little roster of movies.
Yeah.
So for me, I was thinking a lot about Neville Dean and Taylor's body of work. I had seen Crank 1, haven't seen Crank 2, seen the movie Gamer with Gerard Butler and Michael C. Hall Dexter himself years ago. I was like, let's do Gamer. Not just because it's called Gamer, but I think it does a lot so crazy.
And on the topic of Nolan and Taylor, everyone would point. I think everyone's thinking right now, why aren't you guys talking about Hardcore Henry? We've all seen Hardcore Henry.
Yeah,
I think that that's like the easiest example, though. Like, of course, like that movie feels like a video game. It's entirely
yeah,
first person. It's like
yeah.
an action shooter thing.
And
Like,
I think it's cute. I
yeah,
really do. I think it's solid. I mean, I don't know. I just like I don't think there would be enough bandwidth within us to like really have enough to say. And ironically, I actually think the thing this year that brought it into the fold for me was watching Return to Silent Hill
sure,
because although that is literally a video game adaptation, the way that that game feel or that movie feels is so emblematic of a vibe. And that's going to lead into a couple questions I have for us today,
yeah,
but I was thinking a bit more outward and Zack Snyder has always been in the periphery. Literally, his body floats above my head as I sleep every night.
very true.
I have like a beautiful glass painting of him photographing the Justice League. He is a filmmaker that and we inevitably are going to be talking about. Probably, I don't know. Every single movie, even the one I don't like, which is like Legend of the Guardians, we could make an entire episode on.
No, he's the go.
He really is, and I'm indebted to a lot, especially for what his influence is indicative of in 2020 and 2021 in my life. But I knew there was movies that I wanted to talk about. The Neville Dean Taylor films. There's Dread. Then I landed on Sucker Punch, and then I became fixated on Sucker Punch. Meanwhile, you were like, Bloodsport, dude, Bloodsport. You remember that movie Lucy?
I guess for me with these type, like, because obviously I've spoken a lot in like basically my logic for a lot of the times what we're watching is I don't watch a lot outside of what we're talking about on the podcast, and
Yeah.
that's like an issue like on my behalf. But I do like to use the podcast episodes as an excuse to watch things I've never seen before.
Mhm.
I've never seen fucking Lucy. I've never seen Sport, the shot, whatever the fuck,
Oh, Bloodshot. That's right.
With Vin Diesel or whatever the hell. Like I've never seen a lot of these things. Granted, I have seen a lot of things I can probably point to in terms of like, okay, like I've seen things like fucking Warcraft, for example, which sadly is a video game movie.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
However, like I've seen like I have a sci-fi collection under my belt for
Hmm.
surely, but I guess my logic was okay, let's watch things I've never seen before. And I was so down for Sucker Punch once you were like, let's do that. Dread's a bit of a different one because spoiler alert, I didn't think Gemini Man's very good.
Yeah.
And my logic with Sucker Punch is it's so stupid. Like based on memory, like it's so stupid, but it's also so cool that like it
Hmm.
can be in the same conversation as a Gemini Man. I do think Dread is a bit of like a step above those movies in terms of it actually being like a very well made film, very well
Hmm.
put together, very well written.
Hmm.
Obviously it's Alex Garland. And I have a lot of like love for Dread, and I was like, okay, I think that's a bit too high quality for the type
Yeah.
of movies that we're talking about
Yeah.
outside of that. Um, and we just ended up only doing Sucker Punch and Gemini Man. We kind of the third example that we were gonna use for a movie was then replaced with Toy Story 3.
Yeah.
And so now the cursed double feature is Sucker Punch and Gemini Man, which probably has been done before, but feels weirdly like cursed and exclusive to
You think
us.
it's been done? I
I don't
think
know. I have no
there
clue.
because I think okay, hold on. Because I do need to ask you, because I do think these films have made me very, very fucking curious. And they've made me start gallivanting through the green. And I'm very curious to know your thoughts because you and I never really had similar upbringings, but I think the media we ingested were a bit similar.
Yeah.
Is there any that come to mind, movies or video games that you think make a wonderful alternative counterpart? A movie into a video game and a video game into a movie. Because
Mm.
I think both Sucker Punch and Gemini Man would make maybe to some degrees an even better video game, and in others a great video game. You know, um,
I'm really trying to think because, like, for the example of like a Gemini Man, like, would that be a better video game? I guess we'll talk about it in a little bit, but
sure,
I don't
sure.
like those are both examples where like I think the way I can give like a bit of a spoiler. I think because they are films, they work a bit better than if they were contained to a video game space.
hmm
Do you have any examples right off the top of the dome? Because
which one would you want me to do? Both or?
whatever you have.
Sure. So I wrote like I did like three for each. For video games that I think would make really great movies, the easiest, most obvious answer, which has existed and then never was, would be a Dead Space movie. I think Dead Space would work so wonderfully given the right filmmaker. I thought of like there was back in the 2000s, John Carpenter.
Yes.
But to me, I think like Panos Cosmatos, who did like Mandy, he did that one, the viewing with Eric Andre. You saw
Yes.
you wound up seeing that,
I
right?
never saw that, but I know what you're
No,
talking
you
about.
should. We will watch that this October. It's fantastic. Um, I also think if not in charge of the script, Flying Lotus, I think could actually do some good work with it. He
Yeah, I
has
think
a
so.
clear affinity. He loves synth. The one sneak that I really stand on for directing that would be Markiplier. Just, I mean, he's done Markiplier in Space, Iron Lung. I think about a lot.
Yeah, absolutely.
Other video game movies. I
BioShock. I mean, that's like the
Sure.
de facto
I was
one.
gonna put that. I had a feeling you were gonna say that though. So I
Yeah.
did, and I think in its original state with Gore Verbinski tapped to have been doing it, I would have thought that would have been perfect.
Was Guillermo del Toro also supposed to
He
do it?
was circling it, but around that time he was trying to do that one unmade Tom Cruise horror film in the Mountains of Madness
Yes.
or something like that.
I
Um,
wouldn't also even hate like a BioShock Infinite like movie. I pretty much prefer the first BioShock and even the second one, but I do think a BioShock Infinite like
the
oh,
aesthetics for
the
sure.
aesthetic is like I really fuck with the aesthetics of that game. Like just like the kind of old timey like 50s
Yeah,
style, but based in the sky and like obviously like it's fake happy as our good friend Maddie would say.
fake happy for sure.
Um but
Fake
yeah, no,
happy.
I think the BioShock games are ripe for,
hmm
a film adaptation. Granted, it can burn and crash so easily if
Sure.
not given to a talented and committed enough team.
hmm
But I think that if you gave the budget and like the right visionary, it would
hmm
come out like the atmosphere of those games are already so effective.
hmm
Being able to use that in like a filmic space would be aces for sure.
I think one that I was really thinking about, and I was like, "Oh, this is obvious," but then I realized I'm thinking about it in the wrong way. A Firewatch movie, I think, could work wonders, but only if done by either a small budget or like put on YouTube. Because I was thinking about like what made Firewatch the game hit for me hardest, and I think budget would take away so much. And I think it's a very easy story to tell if given the right setting that you have it in.
Yes.
And like you know where we stand, how I have found such an affinity of like online horror. Like that moment again where she's like, "What are you doing in your tower?" And he's like, "I'm not in my tower." And she's like, "Well, someone is." Like that is such an easy thing to do. You just have to capture it in the best sort of lens. And I think like that would be like power to the people sort of story.
Yeah.
And I think make it like a mini series on YouTube of like 10 minutes each. I think it could work.
Yeah.
Um
What's interesting though is like with Firewatch, I feel like it's so detached from a gameplay standpoint that I don't really think it needs to be a movie. Like I think
mhm,
that's one where it exists so much based on storytelling and voice acting, and the gameplay is almost like secondhand to that game.
I could see that.
That I think that like what's even the point? Like granted, like it feels more of like a movie in a sense, but then it becomes this bigger question of okay, like obviously gaming was a huge part of my upbringing, but like an equal part was like let's players and like watching YouTube of people playing these games and
Yeah.
whatnot. So then the better question becomes, okay, well, if the gameplay aspect is removed from the audience of you are no longer playing, you're watching someone play it, is that also de facto kind of a style of filmmaking, or how does that
Fair,
work?
fair.
Because there are some games like I'm not gonna sit here and be like, man, Happy Wheels would be an amazing fucking
Sure,
movie,
sure.
but like a part of that appeal is the gameplay and the frustration and the shock value, whatever.
Mhm.
But then like these genuine forms of like The Last of Us, for example, that was a game that many people I would argue probably haven't even played before. I think a lot of people have experienced it vicariously through the Let's Plays they watched, and
Yeah,
obviously they turned that into a TV show. Very much a it was marketed and it was navigated a lot of Naughty Dog stuff as a more narrative storytelling based game.
yeah,
I'm still salty the fact that a good Uncharted movie does not exist because that feels it's like it's like a layup. Like they're laying it
yeah,
up for you. Just dunk it. And I feel like they
yeah.
don't for some reason. And I guess I have not seen the Tom Holland, Mark Wahlberg Uncharted. The reality I go into that and I'm like, that was phenomenal is 0 to none.
It's sad because I think at its best it's just cosplaying. Like
Yeah.
like it is literally like the third act I think is cute, but like Mark Wahlberg is so bad as Sully. Like go find. You've seen the Nathan Fillion. Have you seen that like short fan made Uncharted film? That
No?
no, fantastic.
Is it
But
good?
I love it. It's like 12 minutes. It has the guy who plays Quaritch playing Sully.
Courage?
Stephen Lang in
Yeah.
Avatar.
Oh yes, yes,
He
yes.
plays Sully, and it's just like oh he gets it. He gets it. I think the last one before I'll say the movies that I think would make great video games, which I think is an even more interesting thought. Oddly enough, the one that I don't think many people would ever go to, a Watch Dogs 2 movie I think would work really, really well.
Yeah.
Not I'm so sick of the male power fantasy of like a brooding man cloaked in shadow with like Watch Dogs 1. I thought it was a game narratively that wasn't very good, conceptually was okay. But Watch Dogs 2 set in San Francisco, very bright and brimming. I don't know who I thought immediately at first just because he's been on my mind, Destin Daniel Cretton, because he knows how to shoot bigger movies, smaller movies, movies with a diverse cast of characters. Um, I love that game. I love the game actually like a lot. I think it's just so fun, a great alternative to the first one. Um, yeah,
I think Little Big Planet could be a very interesting
Little Big
animated
Planet would
film.
be good.
I think if they went full balls to the wall with animation styles and different, animation types, I think it'd be very, very like an interesting one.
Hmm.
You brought up that whole like A Little Nightmares miniseries or
Yeah, Henny
whatever that
Selick. Yeah,
that he was gonna make.
yeah,
Bums me out because that'd be really cool, like a stop
that's another
motion
layup. Like
that
what?
yeah, like legitimately a layup. There was this game I used to play, Heavenly Sword. It was
Okay.
this like basically like a beat 'em up style, sword heavy game, on the PlayStation. It's such a cool visual style. Even if it's animation, if live action, I think if you had the right people, you could have such a cool feeling and looking
Hmm.
like video game movie. Horror always seems just kind of like almost like a layup in a sense because like a lot of a horror game is well, a puzzle and horror usually go hand in hand. Most horror games are puzzle based.
Yeah.
But there is something like by kind of sitting with your main character and watching them go through these different levels. That's why I enjoyed Hokum
Hmm.
on like the level that I did because it felt like you were in a almost like a horror type click
Truly,
puzzle game.
truly.
What are your examples of
Movies that would make great
yeah?
video games. So I have three. The one that I will say that like doesn't really concern you yet because I do want to show you it. There is a movie, and I think a lot of people are going to be brought into it more because the director is coming out with a film this year with Matthew McConaughey. His first film's called The Vast of Night. It came out on Prime in 2020 about this like radio tower, these two young like kids in high school that manage like a radio station on the night of the town's like big basketball game,
Mhm.
but they're getting crazy interference and then they start like tracking it down and they go to like different members of the house, and I think it could make for a really great like either one location hearing different stories on like a radio station and like talking to people, or like a split perspective sort of thing where someone stays in the radio station and the other is like interviewing people. Really great small indie game. There was a game that I played that stylistically and like playably was not very good, very antiquated conceptually. Do you ever I don't think you ever heard of the game 12 Minutes
No,
with
not played it.
you played it?
Yeah,
I enjoyed it. I thought just like the controls were not very good at times.
it didn't feel very good.
No, I think if Coherence was made into a video game, I think it could abide by a similar structure in the repetition, one location,
Yeah.
who what went awry the first time or the second time. The The last one you're gonna like maybe kill me for. I think as like a multiple sort of choose your own narrative sort of game,
Sure.
Super Dark Times I think would be very, very good. On a location level, on a character level, I think who like the narrative and the alibis that you have to keep up with, I think would be what brought it into the idea for me was I think the only big games don't go nearly as intense enough with like a Life is Strange or like an Until Dawn. I think if you actually told a grounded narrative, it could work really well.
Okay. I mean, I guess like if it's all idea. I don't know if I fully see it, but I can kind of understand where you're going for it. I have a couple of interesting ones I was looking over when you texted me this prompt. First one, I think it'd be very interesting to have like a 2D point and click style um version of I'm thinking of ending things. I
Okay.
think that Charlie Kaufman movies are very interesting because it's
Sure.
kind of like overlapping like pages onto pages of subtext and different
Mm.
details and small little things.
Mhm.
I would love to just go through one of his worlds and just
Not
click
bad.
on certain
Not bad.
objects and see like the point of it and the reminiscence of it and the way like if you got Charlie Kaufman to write like the specific like item prompts of when you click up something or like you can read through a diary, I think if you put a lot of time into it, it'd be such a vastly interesting world. You
Not a
can
bad
make the
idea.
same argument with like Synecdoche, New York, or whatever. But yeah, and then my other example would be like I think that Ratatouille is one that's interesting because there is a Ratatouille game that I've actually heard is not that bad, but I think if you like went full on like
Yeah.
almost overcooked style with it with the Ratatouille, it'd be very, very fun. Like the avoiding of being seen as a rat cook, but also like prepping these bomb ass meals. It'd
Mm.
be a lot of cool. And also I'm always a sucker for video games where like you're playing a very tiny character and like our normal world is very big and grand and you have to like use like a spoon to like
Mhm.
get up on a counter and like
That's a
that's
fair
cool.
point.
Um
That is cool.
I would love to see that. I also like there was something that like was really striking to me when I was doing laundry today about like I really am resonating more and more with that idea that the Halloween game is doing where like you're getting like survivors and you're getting people like, hey, you have to come with me and whatnot. I think a Cloverfield game in that style, like I don't
Whoa.
want like a Cloverfield game though where it's
Whoa.
like you're like it's linear where you're going through and like you'll get a cutscene of like the monster crashing through a building or whatever. Like I want it to almost be like there's a the game is playing in real time and the monster's like going around the city in real time. So there's parts of the game where you are not even by the monster,
Mhm.
but you are going across the damages of the city and whatnot, and you're finding survivors who are trapped in the rubble and whatnot, and you're trying to get people to safety. Whether you're playing like a soldier, like I'm not even saying like you're playing like a guy in a tank and you're fighting the monster, like more so like you are a civilian running through like you're in the middle of the city, the monster is all around you almost like not even with the small creatures, but like on a grand scale, these
Mhm.
skyscrapers are toppling over, there's
Mhm.
explosions everywhere, there's chaos in the streets. There's survivors and dead all around, and you can either
Mm.
save or you're trying to escape. And I don't know. I think that with monster stuff like that, it's really easy to play as okay. You need to go from point A to point B, and we're gonna put in a couple cut scenes that are like, oh, your building's not toppled over, so you have to go this way instead of the direct route. I want like a full on like the map is deteriorating and every time you load it up again, like there's a new instance of the monsters now like literally on top of you and you're trying to survive it. Or maybe there's a run through where you go and the monster's on the complete opposite side of the map, but like
Sure.
it's more like in your destination.
Interest. And would you say like the end goal is to like flee the city?
Flee the city, escape, or like if you're playing the more like soldier based character, like just trying to save as many people as possible.
Mhm.
Or like maybe like you're in a spot where like they're going to nuke the city, and like you were like,
Sure.
okay, like I can either try to save people, get them out of the nuke, or like or I can just guarantee myself outwards. I don't know. I think that like
Interesting.
I'm always a sucker for a monster game where like the monster is happening in real time instead of it being like time-based events that occur
Mhm.
in the sequence of the game.
Mhm.
I'm a sucker for that because it feels like it's just much more like realistic.
Yeah.
And I feel like Cloverfield's a ripe one where it's just, very basic but very cool.
Interesting. We'll see what Kim Parsons does. No, I'm just
I
kidding.
I've heard people say that Chronicle would be a very cool video game. I haven't seen Chronicle in a very long
Maybe
time.
Chronicles fucking fire, but I do think like the intrigue and the weight of that movie exists how it's packaged. I would be interested. Maybe it's because I don't like the game very much and I get very bored and I don't like saying it, but I really just cannot grapple with it. Control, I think, would make a really good movie because I think the aesthetics. You know what Control is?
It's a shooter, right?
Sort of, but it's from Remedy, who did like Quantum Break, and then they also did Alan Wake.
Okay, okay.
It's very like not puzzle based, but they know how to make a great sort of atmosphere. Just the story does not land for me. I don't know though. Um,
There's something like the feeling of like a Prince of Darkness. I would fuck with a game like that. I don't know how they would do it, but there's something like
mm,
a large cast of characters in this church and that's like sci-fi but also demonic.
yeah, and like I think people would be like, "Well, that's the movie," but I do think as we go, the blending of both game narrative and movie narrative becomes almost nearly interchangeable.
And one thing that like I played this horror game on Roblox and I'm not even like blowing smoke up someone's ass. Like genuinely one of like the most immersive experiences I've ever had playing a game ever was this game called Isle 8 on Roblox, which
Okay.
is like this narrative survival horror game, but like it's horror done in a very different way. Essentially like you're a prisoner that crashes on this island and this island has secrets and you can try to escape the island, but every night like there's like this weird like demon thing that has a chance to kill you. It's not guaranteed, it's completely chance based. And then like they also have like soldiers hunting you on the island. So there's multiple different threats. And what really does that game well is there's this basically the map is huge, but there's
Hmm.
a second layer where you can go essentially underground in these tunnels. And it's like in these tunnels, it's like this
What the
Aztecian
fuck?
old. It's crazy. It's
What the
one of the
fuck?
craziest games I've ever played, and it's on Roblox. My point being, though, I feel like the cave system has not been utilized enough. Give me a Descent game. I would love a Descent
I
game.
could get down with that.
Just make it take place in like these huge canals of tunnels and different, places. I haven't seen it before, but I feel like in concept and as above, so below could work very well.
For sure.
The
For
French
sure.
catacombs is kind of, I feel like, an untapped potential.
That's crazy. I just looked up aisle 8. That's crazy.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
It's gnarly. It's one of the genuinely one of the most eye-opening, crazy. Because it
Huh.
was also the game's a lot more popular now, but like it was still getting updates like fairly new into its existence when we were playing it,
Yeah.
and we were really like discover like we weren't looking up tutorials or videos, like we were finding things out like, oh, like this is interesting, this is different. Like we had no idea like it went as deep as it did, and when we finally discovered that, it was like we were finding out in real time like this is a thing that's scaring the fuck out of us. Like
Wow. This is crazy.
these underground systems, like, I'm not even joking. There's like this ginormous snake that can hypnotize you.
What the
That go,
fuck,
yeah, in
dude?
like crazy shit like that.
Isn't that
It is
nuts?
one of the
That's
most,
nuts.
yeah, it was crazy. Anyways, the
Anyways, yeah, movies, guys. I was
movies.
just curious because we're watching, and I think because we're talking about these two movies in a similar vein as like when we did the Ryan Gosling film Look Back. Like this is less about like okay, let's recommend you to watch these movies. I recommend at every episode, even shit that we don't really like, go experience it on your own. But more so like the feeling that was unearthed from these two movies for
Yeah,
both positive and negative. Because when it comes down to it, like I think about growing up and I think about like what I watched and what I played and like what I saw my brother experience, like playing Dead Space. I'll never forget watching or playing with him, and I will never know what the title of this game was, where it was like two-player split screen where you inhabit different vehicles and you like chase each other, but you can go into different types of cars. It was like this crazy experience, but it's like to me the best sort of games when I look back on it are all feeling based. You bring up the Insomniac Spider-Man games, a lot of people complain about that those games like antiquated like almost sort of pseudo rockstar triple button mashing to sprint sort of gameplay. That I love those games because I feel never really played nor finished Spider-Man 2, but like as it's said and done, like I have a Last of Us tattoo because of the unrelenting atmosphere and the feeling that game gives me. When it comes to these two movies, I don't know about you, but I'm far less concerned about like, oh, here's the plot of Gemini Man. Let's explain it in great detail and talk about what didn't work. Let's just talk about like why one rocked and one didn't. Because like Gemini Man guy, top secret spy assassin is
he's the best to ever do it,
best ever do it.
and he's so good that they're like, we gotta
Fuck,
kill
we
him.
gotta
We
kill him.
gotta kill him.
How do we kill him? Let's clone him with a younger, better, and I'm saying better in air quotes, version of himself.
Oh shit.
And conceptually speaking, given that Ang Lee made a 2003 Hulk film where he mo-capped the Hulk VFX, you would say this is the alley-oop of the century. I did too. And I mean, there was even a part where I saw the 30% on Rotten Tomatoes. I saw the faint flicker of a conversation that never really existed after Gemini Man came out, and I was like, this is going to be it. Like we're gonna talk as long as this episode is. all about Gemini Man.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, when you have three screenwriters and God knows how long this movie has been in development in someone's mind at some studio, it becomes sadly this truncated, lobotomized version of itself by the end, to a point where no matter if you're shooting at 480 frames per second, no matter how much I think I at least like the visuals a lot more than you did at times, there is nothing behind those eyes.
No, absolutely not. And that's the biggest blunder of the movie is the fact that, like, yes, like I can get down with the crazy action stuff. Granted, there's only really like two crazy action scenes in the movie,
Mm-hmm.
and like that's like kind of more of a one and a half situation.
Yeah,
Because the second
yeah.
one's a bit of I wish there was more there. The first one though, where he's finally first facing off against his younger self, it is pretty cool. I cannot deny. The issue though is everything in between.
Yeah.
So uninteresting, so unoriginal, so flat, and granted, I'm not going to sit here and profess that Will Smith in the late stage of his career is doing what he's doing in the business for the sake of being a good actor.
Mm-hmm.
However, he is so dry and
Mm-hmm.
so flat and so
Mm-hmm.
uninteresting in this movie,
Mm-hmm.
and everyone around him is also so flat and so dry and so uninteresting in this movie.
Yeah.
And it's a shame because I we know that Ang Lee can work very well with performers,
Yeah. Yeah.
but it begs the question, was he so fascinated and enveloped in the technical aspects of the filmmaking and the actual visual style of this movie that he completely forgot that you have to direct actors? Or did he just think it wasn't important for this type of movie? Like, it is quite bewildering
Yeah.
how movie stops at a halt pace every time there is a conversation happening. And it's not one of those situations where it's like, okay, like, it's a conversation, then we get to action, then it's a conversation, then to action. It is
Mm-hmm.
essentially an hour and 40-minute movie
Yeah.
where essentially we get two action sequences in the entirety of it that are of somewhat interest, and everything in between is just uninteresting setup and explanation and exposition and conversation, and it's all so flat and it's all so nothing, and it feels like
Yeah.
no one's trying on any
Mm-hmm.
level.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and although I will say like it feels funky in a cool way to have
Mm-hmm.
the frame rate be as it is, it also is like, dude, if you have kind of a setup here that can really amount to something
Mm-hmm.
amazing and
Mm-hmm.
you're half-assing it, but
Mm-hmm.
like, are you half-assing it? Because when it goes balls to the wall, I mean, it's fun. I mean,
Yeah.
I know that you and I were giggling and kicking our feet when he's in a 1v1 fight against a motorcycle and it's
Yeah.
like
It keeps
crazy.
going and it keeps
Keeps
going.
going. Yeah, it's a long action sequence. It's the middle segment where like he's like looking in the mirror and it's cool. But
Mm-hmm.
then it's like there's that whole setup in the catacombs that amounts to dialogue, and it's so
Yeah.
weird because it
Yeah.
spends so much setup on nothing, eventually just dialogue,
Mm-hmm.
and then we have such an uninteresting and underlit fight sequence, and it just feels so phony and fake, and it's
Yeah.
the people, the lovers of a Gemini Man, the people who profess it's video game feel, and yes, it does feel like a video game a lot of times. I got instances of like a Naughty Dog game with the frame rate and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like they're very much like like they're underplaying what makes those video games so effective. Like, I
Yeah.
don't care that it feels like a video game, it doesn't feel like a good video
No.
game. That's
It's
the
a video game
issue.
that I don't want to play.
Exactly. It's like, yeah, like sure, it feels like a what the fuck's the one where like it's like in the abandoned city of Chicago,
The
The
Division.
Division. It feels like The
Mm-hmm.
Division, and it's like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, cool. You made a movie feel like The Division, but The Division's not a very good game.
Yeah, and at least the Division has like multiplayer, you know?
Yeah, and there are arguments like we brought it up before, and it's a bit easier since it is animation, but The Adventures of Tintin, like that is an example of a game that
Aces.
feels like what an Uncharted movie deserves to be,
Mm-hmm.
and that is The Adventures of Tintin, and it feels so good and ripe for visual language and filmic language and its usage and its borrowing of the video game archetypes and
Yeah.
whatnot. And it's like, okay, you can make something that feels like a video game that is of good quality, which we'll talk about in a second.
Yeah.
And Gemini Man just wasn't doing that. And it shocked me because I honestly thought you were a lot more hot on it than what I and ended up being.
And honest to God, dude, I was, but it was the fact that like it is almost like here's a little nibble of a cookie. You're gonna get the fucking Pizookie by the end.
Yeah.
And it not only then starts to become a bit stale, but it also is like, okay, I'm getting these Costco size samples. I want to get the big fucking thing, but by the time you get to it, it's so much smaller than the advertising was offering,
Yeah,
and it's dry as shit. And
yeah.
it makes me really sad because I actually was at first enjoying the like sort of like the fact that like everything is in beautiful focus. Like I love the fact that it feels like this globe trotting thing where they have to keep going to different places. And I was digging at first like this rugged, like older, very like dryly delivered Will Smith, but then Junior comes into play. It's like, oh man. And it's like it made me really come to terms with the fact that like it isn't even a Chris Pratt situation where he needed a James Gunn to actually elicit a good performance. I think it was just purely age. I think, like, because there was a time when, like, Will Smith was dominating, and again, in school, I went to a Catholic school, we did the Wild Wild West for, like, it was called, like, Globe Day, where everyone did, like, a different part of the world,
Yeah.
and we watched Wild Wild West. Terrible movie. He's charismatic as ever. I mean, Men in Black is fantastic, but, like, even as he got older into, like, the 2000 stuff, I think he's great in I, Robot. That's a mess of a movie. I think he's fantastic in I Am Legend. I love that movie.
People love him in Pursuit of Happiness. That was not super early in his career.
100%. But then, like, he starts to, like, taper off into things, and I also think about the world where the Wachowskis were convinced that he had to be Neo in The Matrix, and he's like, "Oh, this shit's terrible. I'm not gonna do it."
Interesting.
And to be in, like, that world. Anyway, I digress. I think it just was with age, he lost the appeal. I think he just lost the essence of what made him him, and he did things like After Earth, where then I think he acted on this idea of being this father, this older figure, but he never like meant it. Like he never was. It was never felt. And like in this, it is then him, and then you turn the corner, and then it's another version of him. Like that's all there is.
And I think people can oftentimes say, okay, like the uncanniness is kind of what makes it work in a sense. Like
Hmm.
you're getting younger Will. He looks obviously very fake and like almost kind of like a Shrek type character. Um, and but it's that uncanniness that kind of makes the movie work as like a weird fucking Frankenstein abomination of like
Yeah.
a video game movie. But I just kind of see it as I think we're just kind of trying to give Ang Lee an excuse.
Yeah.
I'm not here to at all discredit the talent of the guy because funny enough, I've actually only seen Life of Pi and I think when I was younger, The Incredible Hulk, or The Hulk.
The Hulk. Yeah.
Um, I have yet to watch Brokeback Mountain. I attempted, got too sad and then I turned
Yeah.
it off. Uh,
Did you stop it? How long into it did you get?
like 22 minutes, so they hadn't even like kissed or anything yet. I was
Oh,
just getting sad.
it is off the gate. I mean, we'll talk one day,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
like
Well,
the
the
shot,
the
there's like a
Ang
shot of
Lee.
like one of them far into a mountain that I was like, oh,
The Ang
okay.
Lee retrospective. Anyways, though, I'm not here to discredit his talent at all, but it just feels as if like a very talented director who has won Best Director, who has gotten the Academy accolades, who has gotten the career money, financial stage, everything. Like
Hmm.
he's
Hmm.
one of the top dogs. It feels like we're just kind of giving him an excuse for
Yeah.
a failed experiment, which glad that he experimented. I'd rather someone experiment than not experiment.
Hmm.
At the same time, though, dude, like it's mistakes and elementary mistakes that just kind of like, did you try? And if you did try, like where were you trying at? Because
Hmm.
when it like I said, when it goes 100 miles an hour, it feels fun. It's fun. He's doing cool action things. The point of view shots, like I'm not at all here to discredit that, but then like I see something like Bad Boys 4 where they're doing like the crazy camera rig where it's actually
Fair.
authentic, and it's like
Fair.
okay, like that took time, effort, patience,
Hmm.
an actual rig to set up, and it looks the same level of quality, but also it's done in a more effective style.
And he's even solid in those, you know?
Yeah.
Like, again, I don't think he's completely lost the plot, but it honestly feels like the later stage of his career is like him realizing, oh man, let me capitalize off of my fame and notoriety and make a vehicle that is solely about me, but give none of the work to earn it in the
No,
film.
he has gotten to a stage in his career where he doesn't need to try.
No.
People will see a Will Smith movie for Will Smith. He just won an Oscar, like that, like which is crazy to say because like at this stage in his career, he's winning Oscars.
Yeah.
But he just won an Oscar, so in his mind, he's like, I'm probably at the best I am artistically that I can be,
Hmm.
and my entire family are multimillionaires for their own separate works of art and
Yeah.
whatnot. Like wife runs a podcast, she's also acting in things still. Daughter and son are both very successful musicians who are frontlining tours and have built their own wavelength for themselves. Like everyone's rich, everyone's happy.
Hmm.
Why would I try?
Yeah.
Um, that's a shame because I've seen Will Smith at, really good points in his career where he was acting, really trying, and I do love I Am Legend just like you do.
Yeah.
That's also a different example of one where that can kind of come up as like a movie that feels almost like a video game with like the abandoned
Yeah.
setting,
Oh yeah. Oh
survival
yeah.
horror style.
I would even say like when because that is when I look forward to is when the new Hunger Games comes out. We'll watch a couple of Francis Lawrence's shit because like even you've never seen Constantine, bitch,
Oh,
and
I have, but just a
oh,
lot
you
longer.
long time ago.
That's like a Jonah Hex type of
You get hexed in
ramification.
that, John. It is sad. I am sad to say that this didn't work, but without it not having worked, we would have an entirely different episode, and we wouldn't have rewatched this film, which I'm ultimately glad we did
Oh,
rewatch Sucker
100%.
Punch because I think I would have in my head been like, okay, we'll do like a day where we do the Batman, Superman, Justice
Yeah.
League shit, and then we'll do another day where I think this is so deserved of its own episode, and like,
I also think too this movie existed for us both. I think a little bit more for me. I can't speak on your experience too much, but for me, like it existed as dumb fun.
yeah,
And I think yes, it is dumb fun in a lot of ways, but I think it deserves a little bit more credit than just dumb fun.
sure, and I think it goes to the testament for a second, real quick, without like kind of completely shunning away Gemini Man. There is credit to be had, but even when we watched it in the most optimal way on a 4K disc that
Yes.
played it at its frame rate that it wasn't intended but was the best that the software could,
Yes.
and we still came out of it so either lukewarm to cold, it is very sad and frustrating, but it also gave me hope to know that there is like a multitude of movies that are aiming to try things and to push the boundaries, but also commit in other capacities that make the film flourish instead of slightly moving on the tarmac but never going on takeoff.
Yeah.
And so that's where we land. This movie, and I will paint the picture. We watched this before Toy Story 3, but we were getting geeked off of a good 10
Oh,
milligram.
I was high. I was for sure high.
And we were with a roommate that
Roommate Kelly, shout out to roommate Kelly.
roommate Kelly who looked like they wanted to be anywhere but where they were.
Yeah,
And so
very funny
we
movie.
and so to paint this picture, I was there's the movie, we have the sound bar going. It's great, but the occasional snore that brought me back to a reality that as the movie progresses and as the movie is looking for these objects and it starts to go to different locations and become different movies entirely, that's what was navigating us.
Yeah.
And I think without real competition, like I think Snyder means a little bit more to me than it does for you, you know? And
I don't know.
one
I love Owls of Gahul or whatever the fuck.
dude, and so like we both have appreciation for maximalist filmmaking, but then there's Sucker Punch,
Yes.
which it's funny because the only real relationship I ever had with it when it came out was my brother seeing it, and I remember him coming home and talking about it, but like never really knowing what the fuck that meant.
Yeah.
And I remember specifically when we went to Hollywood Video, the DVD of it with all the women, the bunny Mac, oh my god,
Yeah.
being on it, and my brother like, "Oh, can we rent this?" And I was like, "Yeah, can we rent this?" And like, absolutely not. And
Ah.
funny enough, you brought up BioShock Infinite recently. There is like that sort of like retro futurism, cyber steelpunk look, and
Yes.
I remember my brother, he had BioShock Infinite for the PS3 and played that, and I remember watching Sucker Punch for the first time right around that time,
Mm.
but that wasn't my first, like, inkling and entrance to why I love Snyder, but needless to say, the quick, elevator pitch of this movie is
Oh, we didn't explain Gemini Man. Oh wait, did we? Oh, we
we
kind
we
of
we
did.
kinda did, just
Whatever.
so because I think, like, as we explain this film, it's gonna be like, wait, to anyone that doesn't understand this, just basically women at a psych ward. You look at me as if
I'm gonna explain it.
yeah,
I'm gonna
actually,
explain it.
please do, because I have a horrible
Um, if you are going in blind to Sucker Punch, it's about essentially these women who work at like basically like a brothel,
okay.
and
Yeah,
they
yeah.
work at a brothel, and they want to escape the brothel. That's what I will say.
Okay, you
And
know
I
what?
think it is
Period.
much more fun to go in blind and to kind of just let it like to be like an idiot and to watch the movie like an idiot.
Yeah.
I have seen this movie before this point maybe 4 or 5 times.
Wouldn't even disagree.
This was a huge grandpa staple. Like this was
Mhm,
like a huge like
mhm.
I remember watching this with him. This was like a reoccurring one. Was like on FX. I feel like a lot
Oh,
because
yeah.
it's like not too grotesque or too like needing of
No,
censorship.
I mean and that is something that I will slightly say. We watched, I guess, the pseudo censored version, which was like the theatrical version of the
Yeah,
film, which you can clearly tell has moments where like there could be blood included, but there is entire like we did not watch the 17-minute version. We're trying to, but your Xbox was fighting
yeah.
against us. But yes, continue. Sorry.
Yes, very much. Oh no, yeah, no, it was because we were trying to pirate it and it wouldn't fucking work.
Wouldn't.
Um, but yeah, long story short, I have a very long history with this movie. In fact, I would argue this is the Snyder film that I actually have the most relationship with.
Hmm.
Which is really funny to say because like, who the fuck can say that about Sucker Punch?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
this movie, 2013,
2011.
2011. Okay, but BioShock Infinite was 2013.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
yes, that adds up. Um, where do you begin with this movie? Okay, so Snyder is, as we all know, the slow motion macho man
Yeah.
smoking big blunts, Cubano cigars.
Big
Like
time.
we like big guns, we like big boobs, and Sucker Punch is essentially the whole joke of this movie is like it's a 13-year-old's wet dream,
Hmm.
right? Like it's like
Hmm.
anime and sword
Women,
fighting and guns,
skirts,
skirts. Yeah,
explosions.
it's slow motion, rock soundtrack and crazy needle drops. We're gonna do something different. I want to get the negatives out of the way first. I
Go
want to get
for
the
it.
negative.
Go
There's
for
a
it.
couple of covers by Emily Browning. That's in the very beginning of the movie. I think it's like the first track that plays. I think she has like another song, not very good. She has a pretty singing voice. I just think it kind of sounds tacky and it does not age very well. I'm kind of
Okay.
over those covers.
Okay.
The other negatives include nothing. It's one of the craziest, most gonzo like, and it's funny because would you categorize this as a dad movie? Because I think we're now tapping into grandpa territory.
But not grandpa plural, grandpa singular.
Yeah, I guess my
Because
grandpa.
I honestly I think this movie exists in the like if your life was a bunch of cars on a train and death was the very front of it. It is just one car, and that is the like age of 13 to 17.
Yeah.
Because when you turn 18, more often than not, like the letterbox reviews show it, the people I've talked to say like that movie's bad.
No, it's not bad. It's
No, it's
fucking
not.
awesome. It's fucking awesome because she has an anime sword and she's slicing these big samurais in half and they have Gatling guns and shit and then they fight undead zombies. It's
And then
fucking awesome.
Orlocks, and then robots, and
So
then
this movie is like a puzzle enigma. Essentially, you're going through like these different doorways. Okay, what's real? What's fake? This is obviously fake, but
Mhm.
it's so fucking cool. And what's really interesting is I think what this movie does for me on a rewatch, and kind of as someone who's much more older and understands that Snyder is not just doing shit to do shit. Like
Yeah.
he actually very much has an intention behind what he does.
Mhm.
I don't know if it's specifically about video games, but I think it'd be naive to not acknowledge the fact that in behind the scenes videos and in interviews, he has talked about how it feels kind of like a video game.
Yeah.
And he's not naive to that. I think he is very much acknowledging the fact that video game is a form of storytelling,
Yeah.
and we all have our different versions of storytelling for whatever need, whether it's escapism, whether it's a form of getting us through whatever, whether it's passing down stories or sharing someone's story to a bigger audience. We have different forms of ways to engross storytelling, and
Yeah.
video game is not an exception to that. Video games, they have storytelling. They exist as a way to tell stories.
Mhm.
And I think Snyder is putting that on full display. And not in a way where it's like Ready Player One, where it's
No.
like using the act of gaming as a way of escapism,
Mhm.
but rather the feeling of what a video game can do.
Mhm.
Granted, there's a lot of people that think this movie is a very surface level understanding of what gaming is. I say, fuck you, that's not
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
Like it's so hard to get into this movie without spoiling, and so we're not going to.
No.
Go watch Sucker Punch. It's
Please
old
do.
as shit. It's almost what, a decade and a half old,
Yeah, it is a decade and a half
and it
old.
feels so cool and fresh and awesome.
Feels like it was made in 3000.
The joke and crux of this movie is that you are experiencing like third or fourth layers of different realities.
Mhm.
There's a reality where it's the storytelling and who's telling the story and where we're telling the
Mhm.
story at
Mhm.
is completely in a loop and out the fucking window. You exist in this plane where you enter the story as Emily Browning's character going to a mental ward, about to get lobotomized.
Mhm.
And then we have this peak of the moment where we're now transported to this brothel but then Emily Browning's character is a very good dancer, and when she dances, she gets transported to
Yeah,
these different video game world levels where she's fighting samurai soldiers and she's killing dragons and
yeah,
shit.
yeah.
And then we get like this as a pseudo way for them to make this plan of escapism, but these are all
It's and it goes and it goes and it goes. And where I think one of the biggest distinguishable factors is this is a vehicle operated by several people on screen versus Will Smith. Every single person in this movie is there understanding the assignment to such pitch perfect
they're so
clarity.
good.
Like not even just Emily Browning, who I need to shout out because I've only ever really think I've seen her in the
Series.
of Unfortunate Events.
Yeah.
Exactly. Excuse me, but like even what I would assume was like picks for star power, like Vanessa Hudgens, like everyone, and you feel like these are women that want to escape, and I have to because a big reason why I wanted to also rewatch this movie. You're thinking about this movie, and you're getting so like and we'll talk about the guy in a second here. Don't get me wrong, but it feels sexist. Like what happened? Women talking wasn't Ben Winshaw like the only person nominated for an award?
No, I don't know. I mean, well, I don't know about that. I think he was definitely the one giving like highlight, like shout outs.
Exactly. So we'll shout out the guy in this movie, but I want to Abby Cornish, who plays Sweet Pea in this fucking movie,
Yeah, she's
is
really, really
is
good.
so. And I think to me it's this synthesis where it's like you could watch a clip of this movie on Twitter and you would appreciate it, but when you understand what came before it, and then there's like these moments that are so well concocted, and like I think about that moment when they're having this realization like, oh, I think we need to stop, I think we need to
Yeah.
stop this game, this escape. And it's this setup that's it's this shot on a dolly that is moving, and then it rotates around them as they're looking at themselves in a dressing room,
Yes.
and it's such an exceptionally crafted and blocked moment that I think could only be done by someone who is tethered to reality by a cinematographer who knows what he's doing instead of him shooting his own shit. I mind you, this is coming from a Rebel Moon truther, but like even I will admit, like, fuck, guys, what he did with Larry Fong in that 3 film run of
It
Watchmen, it's
It's
unreal,
unreal.
dude.
And what's really interesting too is I think this movie is very easily written off as something where it's like, okay, like he has an easy needle drop and yada yada yada. It's cool shit. But there's like such intentionality with like the way that needle drops ebb and flow throughout scenes, like the way they punctuate
Yes.
the endings, the way that like there's like this weird like mission successful, like a wide shot out of every one of these dream
Yeah,
sequences, and
yeah,
then how like he uses that as almost like deception for the towards the latter end of these dream sequences where we get this like mission successful screen and then it's like oh shit no we're not,
yeah,
and like there's like a real intentionality with how things are framed and how shots are done. And yes, like we are seeing shit where the rabbit mech flies up and destroys a blimp. Like yes, I'm not naive to the fact that it's fucking crazy, but I think that it's very easy to be like this is stupid because this is so extra, and
yeah,
it's easy to write the whole movie off as stupid, but I think that's doing such a disservice to everyone involved because there's such a care and an energy. Like even like you were saying, like the actresses who all portray like these different characters in this realm, like I think with a less experienced and more grimy and shitty director, it's
mhm,
very easy for like these actresses to kind of just be half in, half out because it's like, okay, like I'm being used for my body in the sense of like the way I use the camera is going to be as sexy as possible, and it's
yeah,
not seeing these characters as characters, but rather as just objects. But I feel like Zack Snyder, and maybe this is giving him too much credit than he deserves, but I truly do believe it. Like I think he thinks about yes, like this is sexy and cool, but also like these are characters, these are women. Like I
mhm,
want to
mhm,
uplift and empower. I want them to feel energized by what I'm doing here.
yeah,
And as you've spoken to me, everyone behind the scenes have expressed such a love and joy in
quite
making this
literally.
project.
If you and it was a detail that I found when I looked at the IMDb trivia page. The Jenna Malone who plays what's her name? Baby doll?
Bottle Rocket?
Rocket. You're right.
Rocket,
Rocket.
yeah.
Rocket. Rocket. Who has been a champion for like Snyder stuff even for as long as I can remember. She at one point was almost like considering quitting acting because of how much people like just outright dismiss this film entirely.
Yeah.
And I think it just shows that like these aren't like fanatics that he acquires like he is like Hugh Hefner, but like these are people that joined this project because they wanted to do it.
Yeah.
And I just found out for as this movie holds up visually, like I think like there's that scene that I was like, oh, there's a shot coming up. There's a
Yeah.
shot coming up, and then it does it like 20 more times in
No,
one
it's like
single shot.
I wanna watch the movie again.
And you say that, but I already like 3 days ago bought the Blu-ray that has the extended cut, so don't play with me, bitch. Um, it cost $70 million to make. Like this movie had a budget and it made like 10, but like
Is that it only made $10 million?
no. That was me being
How much
facetious.
did it actually make? I'm so
I'll tell you that
curious.
right now. So
Because I feel like we lived in a much more opportune time. Because this is
mhm.
still before. This is the same year as Iron Man's 2008, huh?
Iron Man's 2008,
So
but
this
like
is a year before the Avengers.
yeah, but like these are still the kids that are getting juiced to watch shit. Didn't even crack 90 million.
Are you
Yeah,
serious?
dude.
My boy
Yeah.
Snyder died?
Yeah.
That's so crazy.
And what's even crazier is do you know the two movies that the movie he made before this and the movie he made after?
300's before this.
No.
Wait, no. It's 2009, right? He has one in 2009.
Yeah.
Well, Watchmen's after this.
No.
Oh.
Watchmen is 2009.
Oh, so okay, it's Watchmen before this.
No.
Wait, what?
Do you want to know
Is it Gahul?
Yeah.
Gahul's before.
Gahul's before this and Man of Steel's after this. So it's like he wanted to heal his inner child, and then he wanted to go to the point where he would never return after. And in that is like the most maximalist he's ever gotten. And we talked like even in the theatrical, I think you get everything you need to. I do distinctly remember parts in the extended that I would like to revisit, but like he's talked about, like there's a near 3 hour cut of this film, and in my head I'm like, what is there? Is there like 7 more runes that he puts into the
I
narrative?
have no clue. What's even crazier too is like I think it's very easy also to write off these sequences, like these big dream action sequences, as just big CGI slot fest. But
Mhm.
there's a clear visual style for every single one. There's a very
Literally.
specific feeling, and like I think what's really awesome is like he understands the absurdity of riding a train into the middle of a volcano with a big dragon, slitting the baby dragon's throat and collecting the gems, and then like he understands that that is a very absurd concept. However,
Yeah.
he uses like these weird clashes and juxtaposition to really much like to make these worlds just feel dynamic and interesting. Like
Yeah.
even a world where it's like, okay, like you're in this like war zone,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Like fuck it, let's make the soldiers zombies. Let's
Yeah.
make them undead. It's just stuff
Yeah.
like that where it's like, okay, like there's a very clear like a subversion of just being as basic as possible because
Mhm.
there's a existence of a Sucker Punch movie that exists that's just kind of bland. It's like, okay, like you're taking these very surface level, let's fight a dragon, but you're doing it in such
Yeah.
a very uninteresting way.
Yeah.
But like every single like and he understands too, like it is stupid. There is that line that you put in Letterboxd review that we laughed at in real time. There's what a
Codename Kitchen Knife.
bomb codename kitchen knife. Yes, that is a hilarious line. It is very dumb. But I think that you'd be such a goofball to not acknowledge that. Like Snyder knows it's silly, but I don't think like is ever like, yes, it's silly, but like it's sincere. And I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
if you
Yeah.
listen to our podcast, you know, like it's so important for us, like sincerity and authenticity.
Mhm.
And that's why Snyder has always been your guy, and
Mhm.
I, to some degree, I love most of what he's doing as well,
Mhm.
because like he is a very sincere filmmaker. Like he believes in what he puts on screen.
Yeah.
He's not putting
Yeah.
it like because he has to or because it's a false sense of whatever. Like
Mhm.
he believes it, and Sucker Punch is just that. And I think that there's a very clear decision that's made narratively with switching essentially who the story is about that gives this such a different dynamic on a rewatch and a
Yeah.
re-understanding and reevaluation
Mhm.
because spoiler alert, Emily Browning is not the main character. It is instead Sweet Pea
Mhm.
or what's her actress's name?
Oh, Abby Cornish.
Abby Cornish. And then it becomes this different dynamic of like sisterhood and what it means to be like an older sister, an older sibling, and
Mhm.
how, you know, like we heroize or and pedestal heroes in our minds who have unlocked whether some sort of escapism or what we try to envision or envelop. And it's actually really funny and fitting that he would go to make Man of Steel after this because there
Mhm.
is such this level of like heroism that is explored in Sucker Punch
Mhm.
and to a much different and much more cynical degree as in Man of Steel, what it means to be a hero and what it
Yeah.
means to inspire
Mhm.
and to take the mantle.
Mhm.
He does hit a flow state in this movie after the first like 15 minutes. Like once we kind of get into this world of this burlesque house that just feels unreal.
Yeah.
Like the
Yeah.
movie does not stop from a
No.
visual standpoint, from a energy standpoint. And yes, he's playing Army of Me, like, yes, it's gonna get
Yes,
both of us so easily.
yes.
But, like, even still, like, it's not just placing needle drops for the sake of this is cool, right? Like, you think this is cool, right?
No,
Like, it does feel very specific. And yes, when you start to think about it, it's like, okay, what dance is Baby Doll doing that is emulating her fighting soldiers in the World War?
who gives a
Who
fuck? Who
gives a fuck?
because like she gets out of the song because the radio gets tripped up by water, and then she's back in it, and then like the meat on the bone is so dense and tender and meaty, if not filled with grease. But like you have performances like Oscar Isaac in
Yeah.
this, like, and this is an early Oscar
This is
Isaac.
Oscar
Like this is
early.
he is untethered in this fucking movie, dude.
It is actually crazy how he's a very generic villain in this. Like, I'm not gonna say he's not,
Mhm.
but like he is dirty. Like
Wicked.
he is like, and it's pushing the PG-13 rating. Like
Yeah,
he is
yeah,
slimy. Like there is a pseudo like almost assault scene that takes place later in the film where he's like, honestly, like, why are they playing with my toys? Like I want to play with my toys. And it's like
God, it's so
it's
ridiculous.
so well written on like a standpoint of okay, what we're trying to get from this villain's mentality, but also on a grander scale, what we're saying about these men in these positions.
Hmm.
It's Snyder is not an idiot, guys. Like, yes, like he makes very like grandiose, crazy movies, but like
Yeah.
there is an intentionality with everything that he's doing. And like what I think is really important to understand about Sucker Punch as well is like it works so well on a surface level,
Hmm.
but like there are layers there. Like there are
Yeah.
layers you can peel back, which granted, does it want you to peel back the layers? It's up for you to decide if he's really begging you to revisit Sucker Punch every
Sure.
couple years. But on a first time watch, like get some friends and have a good time with this
Hmm.
movie.
Revitalize the time of old where you got the worst sort of soda and the biggest bag of chips and have a ball, because he isn't an idiot. You can call his art idiotic, but he
Yes.
is the least bit an idiot. Like he is one of the most tactile and physical filmmakers that is doing everything to a fault. I
Yeah.
think by a lot of people, and myself included, would say that like no one today is taking hundreds of millions of dollars and directing, co-writing, producing with your wife, shooting and co-editing your fucking movie. Like he is the Soderbergh. I hope he doesn't fold an A. I don't. Well, that's a
Who
whole other
knows? Yeah.
conversation one day. And then we. This is all to say that we will have an entire episode where we talk about the films.
Yeah.
Maybe you will hit a snag where you're like, I want to make a video on that movie of his
Yeah.
specifically. It's crazy.
You know, and I think that like no matter what you say about Snyder as a filmmaker, like you cannot deny that he does things differently. Like
Hmm.
there is a reason that people call for the Snyderverse to return to the DC because
Hmm.
like he has a very specific vision and a very specific feeling. And granted, like people can dumb it down and summarize like he wants superheroes to be bad. Like what if superheroes were bad? What if they
Yeah.
were actually were not
What
good
if they wear
people?
black suits and are evil?
But I think that like he explore like there is a clear level of like idealization that he has for his hero characters. There's a clear level of like as you spoken upon like masculinity and physicality for
Hmm.
all the superhero stuff, but like a level of religion and fanaticism and like I
Yeah.
don't know, he's always doing something different and who knows, maybe when we watch, BVS director's cut, we'll have to explore it more and
Please,
a full
please,
package or
please.
even, like, what's so interesting to me is, like, will I have to go down the Rebel Moon train? And, like, that scares me because Rebel Moon, from what you showed me, I would not fuck with. But then it's like, maybe I will. Like, maybe I just need, like, maybe I need Sucker Punch to, like, amp me up.
30 milligrams.
Um, and we're for sure watching the extended cut. Like, this movie is great. Like, I think this is probably up there for me as, like, no, like, if I wanna have a good time, I'm gonna put on Sucker Punch.
Yeah.
Like, it is
Yeah.
a fucking awesome movie, and shout out to the original god, AKA, our guy
Keenan.
Keenan.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna steal his figurine that he
No, it,
bought.
and I was actually talking to Keenan. He has such fascinating points because he's like, this is the only movie of Snyder's that I can say I love. He
Interesting.
says Army of the Dead is his least favorite. He thinks it's like detestable.
That makes
Uh,
sense.
and then he talks about like there's things he appreciates, but he does not really like Batman v Superman at all. And again, like
Yeah,
I we'll see.
because you haven't watched the movie in forever.
No, but I have seen it. It is top three most rewatched superhero films I think I've ever seen. Like I think I've watched it more than I watched the Batman, but that's just because that's been out longer.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's also much shorter? No, how
The
long
Ultimate
is
Edition and that go almost band for band. The Ultimate Edition is 183 minutes. The Batman is 172 minutes. Yay! And
Oh.
the great words is the wise man. For those who fight for it, life has a flavor the sheltered will never know.
It's ridiculous. Like actual ridiculous shit.
Yeah, friends,
Yeah, friends, go watch both.
go,
I
please.
think so. If you're able to run Gemini Man as accurately as you can, just to get your full like I don't want someone to watch Gemini Man and be like, well, I didn't watch it in its full capacity and have to revisit it again to see
Yeah.
if they liked it or
Fuck
not.
you. Yeah.
You'll get a kick out of both, but Sucker Punch is
Go watch it.
that's some real meat on your
Theatrical, but
bones
seek out the extended. I
if you're
mean, with
able.
I don't think there's anything that Snyder has done where the extended is
Oh,
inferior.
yeah.
I could be wrong, but like I the only one I haven't seen is the Dawn of the Dead. I am not too sure. I think that's like 5 minutes longer. This
He has big ideas. The guy has a big brain
uh,
and big
big
ideas.
muscles,
Big
but
muscles.
anyway, though, friends, thank you so much for staying with us, man. This is one of our longer episodes in recent memory, but I I'm very fucking excited for this next episode, guys. I mean, this is going to be a very unique conversation because from the sound of it, I think it's just going to be the three of us. I think it's just going to be the gang, you, me, and homie Austin.
Oh, sick.
Keenan, unfortunately, he messaged me today, said he was working an event that day, and our good boy Filmbo Sway, like he everywhere,
He's
he
running the
everywhere.
track.
But stay tuned, friends. I love you guys so very much.
Yeah, I love you guys too.
Eat some Cheetos, eat some crazy Red 40, and watch some pure good action
Please
cinema.
drink a Code Red and watch Sucker Punch. Like I'm begging.
Alrighty, my friends. Please, if you haven't, follow us on all of our socials, both of our letterboxes, my Instagram, my ASMR TikTok, my non-ASMR TikTok, my YouTube channel. Subscribe, hit the notification bell, and for any thoughts in game, out of game, in the rift, out of the rift, if you're an orc or not, email us in, motherfuckers, at beneflicspod@gmail.com. I love you guys so much,
I love you more.
and we'll catch you soon. Have a great one, guys.
Mwah.
Peace.